From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome into this Thursday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning, working to get Jeffrey on the line. If we get to him a little bit, we will bring him in for his normal Thursday appearance. We'll go over Neal's picks today and much more as we get ready for Ole Miss in southeastern Louisiana. 3 o'clock Saturday from Vaught Hemingway Stadium. You can find some coverage on the site at rebelgrove.com. Multiple podcasts. We'll get to all those in a minute. But the podcast brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Lunch specials, ribs, you know about those. Call ahead. They'll wrap them up, have them ready to go. Maybe you want them to cater your tailgate. They got great deals on 2 slabs of ribs, 3 slabs of ribs, the side items, the pounds of pulled pork, and more. So give them a call. Let them know what you're interested in there at the Oxford Exxon on Highway 6 West. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are. I am in the Clark Ford Studios. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi. Call the number 662-257-1900. Ask for my friend Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It is indeed that simple. It's right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. There's none of that chess match that sometimes you feel like you're doing in a car dealer when you're trying to make a deal on a vehicle. You just get right to the bottom line, and then the rest is up to you. You can shop it around, or you can do what I've done 3 times now, and that's get yourself into a Clark Ford. You'll love the product. You'll absolutely love the service. It's fantastic. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy, and he'll prove it to you. 662-257-1900.
So while you're looking for a podcast, we mentioned in the opening a second ago, there is a soft verbal up with one Trent Dilfer, talking a lot of Robbie Ashford, talking some Matt Corral as well. Zach Berry, Neal's co-host for that show, kind enough to go knock that one out in person yesterday. So Trent Dilfer up on all the places that you listen to our podcast. That's this week's soft verbal, and also on rebelgrove.com. And then also another Mind on My Money podcast up yesterday as well. So getting your full allotment this week as we move into Thursday a little bit.
Taping a beer garden today with Ryan Brown. We'll talk about LSU a lot, I think. And then I'm taping a Greatest Pod in the South with J.G. Tate late this afternoon as well. So just the multimedia little potato log podcast network that could just continues to just try to chug its way up the mountain.
Oh, gosh. Okay, let's see. We do get Jeffrey. We just recorded that, so we'll get that here in a little bit. Talk a good bit of college football with that one. We'll get the lines as well. Sean Robinson cleared. That was to be expected, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There were some people that were trying to oh God, it's just he had to pass a lot of classes. When he decided to reclassify, he had to take a lot of classes over the course of the summer, and that's always going to not raise flags necessarily. It's just going to create a scenario where it's going to get looked into. And it was all good. It was all fine. Nobody was out to get anybody. They just had to kind of sort through some paperwork and stuff. It's a busy time of the year. All good.
Yeah, when you reclassify, there is something that has to actually happen from a tangible element there. I mean, yeah, you are changing your graduation year.
Yeah, you got to graduate.
Yeah.
And so, it's just yesterday. Obviously, was September the 11th. It's the semester has not been going that long. He's been there. He was allowed to go to class and all of that stuff. So it's all fine.
Okay.
Ole Miss's plan is to redshirt him. I know people are up in arms about that. They don't believe it. They think it's their plan is to redshirt him. Doesn't mean he will redshirt. But if he doesn't redshirt, it will mean that he was very impactful in practice. The belief is he's better off He's 6'11". I know he's listed at 6'9", 6'10". He's 6'11". He's really thin. The belief is they can do more to develop his game and his potential in a college program this year than he could in a high school program.
It's going to be a storyline that continues throughout, at least through Christmas, though.
Yeah, sure.
It just is.
And he might play his way in by Christmas.
I mean, again, you'd rather have him under your thumb.
I think they would love to redshirt him and to develop him. And I know people say, well, he's not going to stay 5 years. He might not, but you don't like to play people before they're ready if you can afford not to.
We exhibited a little bit before the show a few minutes ago of my my college baseball bubble. Ole Miss picks up a commit from 2022 corner infielder Will Furness. He is ranked 238 nationally per perfect game, and I was kind of excited. I was talking to Neil. I was like, "Yeah, it's Eddie Furness's kid," and he's like, "Who are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, never mind. I'm gonna go crawl in my hole now, and we'll discuss like Duke starting pitching or something at another time."
It shows you just where our interests absolutely do not diverge. I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, I was like, hey, he played at LSU. He's in the College Baseball Hall of Fame. And you're like, yeah, okay, sure.
Deal was, did he play professionally? Anyway?
Yeah, that was the problem. Is actually, I went back and looked at it. He never got above AA. So that was your
I just don't watch a lot of college baseball. I really don't. I mean, I do more now than I ever did before because we talk about it so much in the spring, and I feel like I need to at least attempt to pull some portion of the weight. But back in the day, I didn't keep up with it at all.
Yeah. So anyway, just obviously Mike knows that family, I would assume. So Will Furness, 2022 class, whatever. It's kind of where that is. So. Yeah, anyway, it's fine. Which also, I mean, it's the baseball thing of commits so early. That kid's not going to be on the field until 2023.
It's 2019 right now. Yeah, it's kind of like I saw, and look, we'll milk this too, but there were people doing stuff about Arch Manning. Archie's grandson. I guess it's Cooper's kid.
It is Cooper's kid, yes. He does spin it for a freshman.
Is he an 8th grader or a freshman?
He's a freshman, and he spins it.
He looks good.
He spins it.
And I'm not saying he won't be great. I mean, in fact, I'd bet on him before I'd bet against him just based on the name. But it's going to be a while.
I mean, he's going to be a message board topic for a while, Mr. McCready.
Can you imagine the angst on that one?
The morning that he gets ready for the announcement and there's the Texas hat and the LSU hat and the Ole Miss hat on the table, I mean, we might have to pass out some CBD oil, speaking of G&M. Like, we might have to go do some grab bags in the Oxford area. Hey, guys, just grab some roll-on, 662-236, 2222.
Hand everybody their hyperventilating bags.
Oh man!
Breathe into this.
I mean, it's gonna be Brent Schaefer on steroids. We're gonna punt cats and everything. I mean, it's gonna be nuts when this happens.
I gotta find a recruiting writer before then.
You don't want to handle the Arch Manning saga?
I'd prefer not to.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever.
So he's 15 right now?
Yeah, give or take 15.
He's
a freshman at Newman.
Yeah, he looks good.
I think he's wearing number 16.
I saw that.
Yeah. I don't know. He can spin it. Very abbreviated meeting with Matt Luke yesterday because they're playing Southeastern Louisiana and there's not much to say.
How long was it?
It was 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
Oh.
Yeah, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. I asked about Braylon Sanders. He's day-to-day. there's no reason to chance it whatsoever this week. I just ask out of necessity. They said he's a game-time decision. I have a feeling where that game-time decision is going to go, just my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. And the thing is, even if it's not Southeastern Louisiana, even if it were Alabama or something, I mean, hamstrings, if they're not well, those things, they linger, and you mess that up again, that can turn into a year-long injury.
Well, and outside of Elijah Moore, they need a wide receiver. Nobody's stepping up. Rich Rod is really challenging those guys, so the quicker they can get Braylon Sanders 100% healthy is a huge deal. If you can give him one more week to let him play against Cal next week, that's pretty big.
Absolutely. Yeah, to let it have a little more time to heal, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see. He was asked about Sonogo being out, defense responding in practice this week. He picked out Jaquez Jones as one of the guys that's really kind of picked it up a little bit. He played a lot. He'll continue to play a lot. And then they're also going to get a Shawnee Sistrunk ready to go and potentially get him a good many reps. So that's kind of where that is at the moment.
It remains a little bit of a depth issue.
Yeah, they're just trying to figure out exactly how to piece that together. Matt did his or did what every coach does, where they really pep up the opponent when it's an FCS team. Big paragraph on Selah. Although they do have a lot of transfers. That is one difference with them a little bit. They won a big game. I think they hammered Jacksonville State, who's usually a pretty good FCS team, in week one. And they do have a kid from Auburn, a kid from Indiana. They have some pieces to be a pretty good FCS program. So I get that. And then he was asked about Sam Williams, having not played a lot of football in his life. He was a basketball player until the last couple of years ago. And Matt actually kind of made us all crack up a little bit. He mentioned Stacey Andrews, who he said played about 30 college snaps and then went to the NFL. So if you're a good enough athlete, it will work out. So that was our...
NFL will find you.
Yes, that was our Wednesday appearance with Matt Luke.
Okay.
There is a video up of Nick Broker. Intelligent kid. It's going to be pretty good at football one day.
Yeah, another kid who played a lot of basketball. So really, a lot of his basketball skills are one of the reasons that he's on the field right now.
Because of his feet?
Yeah, he can move. He's not having to... He's athletic enough to handle some of the defensive ends that he's going to see.
I did crack up a little bit at message board question of was Will Furness the player to be named later in the Drew Bianco trade? At one point, Ben McDonald's kid was considering Ole Miss. I don't know what ended up happening there.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. I know nothing about his age or anything. Parrish Alford and Ben McDonald were high school teammates, and they were talking one day beside me in the press box, and he was mentioning that Ole Miss was one of the spots potentially for his kid.
Oh, that's right. Parrish went to Denham Springs. I forgot.
Parrish was Ben McDonald's center at Denham Springs.
How about that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yes, that is correct. So, anyway, I don't know. But, yeah, back to that for a second. I'm scattered today. I'm all over the place. Just apologies to everybody. I don't know.
If I recall, Ben McDonald was a really good punter, too.
Sure he was. I mean, again, professional athlete does something well with a ball. I'm stunned.
Weather at 10.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like we make this joke all the time. I mean, everybody always seems so fascinated when professional athlete is good at golf. Well, yeah, okay,
yeah.
Duh.
So said Chris Bryant can really swing it on the course. I'm like, yeah, no shit. You're kidding. Forgive my language. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Yeah, you didn't warn anybody that time.
I said a bad word.
I know. Let's see. Everybody's in the running on Neal's picks. We'll kind of do some of this. We'll come back and do a little bit of it after Jeffrey as well. A lot of FCS games this week, though, so not a whole lot here. Let's see. Neal McCready, 12-1 last week, 5-5. Chase Parham, 12-1, 7-3. Jeffrey, 11-2, 4-6. And Zach, 12-1, 8-2. Big week for the Red Cup guy. For the season, Zach has a 1-game lead at 13-8 over Jeffrey and I at 12-9, and Neal at 11-10. So that's where we are.
I'm hanging in there.
You're scuffling. You're throwing some punches. Seeing what you can do. Let's see. Arkansas State plus 33 at number 3 Georgia, 11 a.m. ESPN2. And let's see. Jeffrey has Arkansas State covering and the rest of us have Georgia covering that line.
I think Georgia would like to not cover the line because of Blake Anderson and all of that. I just don't know that Georgia can help but cover the line.
Jeffrey points out that Kirby Smart in home games where he's favored by 30 points or more is 1-6 against the spread. They've had a hard time just hammering bad teams.
I don't know that he likes to hammer bad teams. He's got some Saban in him. He likes to have that. He would like his team to play badly. I don't know that they're capable of playing badly.
I don't know what to make whatsoever of Kansas State. They are in Starkville this week. Kansas State +9 at Mississippi State, 11 a.m. ESPN. Kansas State has a huge win over an FCS team, and then they beat the holy crap out of Bowling Green, who probably sucks. So I don't know. State, we'll see what's up with Tommy Stevens, but with 9, with the way Kansas State plays, potentially can bog it down. I have the Wildcats covering. Jeffrey has the Wildcats covering, and Zach has the Bulldogs along with you.
Yeah, I just think State wins. I'm gambling that Stevens is playing.
Who's the Tennessee cat you took the picture of? Or you didn't take the picture, you placed the picture of?
It's their offensive coordinator.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh. He's not making very good use of the training table in Knoxville.
He's eating the whole thing.
Eating the entire training table, huh?
He's just eating the table itself.
Tennessee, as we referenced with Jeffrey.
That is stress eating right there.
That's stress eating? I don't know. I got a feeling he probably had a few extra pounds before he got there, too. Chattanooga at Tennessee, 11 a.m., SEC Network. What's the actual attendance up there on Saturday at Neyland? 0-2 with Chattanooga at 11 a.m.
50,000 people.
Okay.
Half full.
30,000 by the end of the second quarter.
Oh, sure.
Is Chattanooga decent?
Supposedly the quarterback's good.
Yeah. We're just parroting Eric at home at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. 1-2 after beating Chattanooga and then going to lose 4 in a row. So Tennessee's going to be 1-6.
I think so.
And then even if they found a couple, Missouri's going to beat them.
Oh, I think they could still lose to Kentucky. They could still lose to Vanderbilt. I told you this before the season. This is one I got right. They're not good.
2-10 is on the table.
Oh, very much.
With UAB the only other win, and that's not some gimme at all.
Oh, Chase. That's a coin toss.
Yeah, UAB's not bad.
By the end of the season, too, UAB will still play in that game. Tennessee might throw in the towel.
Yeah, Bill Clark's done a hell of a job.
He's good. In fact, if you made me pick that game today, I might pick UAB.
Really?
They'll play. That'd be a big game for them, no matter what. Tennessee, if they're as bad as we think they are, what are you going to do? You're going to say, "Come on, guys, let's go win it for go win it for somebody."
Now, I will say UAB through 2 weeks has not been overly impressive. They're 2-0, but they beat Alabama State 24-19 and Akron 31-20.
I know. I still sort of stand by it.
Okay.
You've seen bad SEC teams at the end of the season just go out of hell with it.
Well, I mean, we watched a lot. I mean, you didn't. You were covering Kirby Smart that night. But, I mean, we watched La Tech just run up and down the field on Ole Miss. Potentially a similar situation.
Sure. That was not a great Tech team.
No. They were fine.
Yeah, they were good. They're fine.
Yeah. Number 2, Alabama, minus 25.5 at South Carolina, 2:30 CBS. Helinski making his first start against a Division I opponent. Look, South Carolina could shock me, but this just screams laying 25. Frankly, I'm a little surprised this line's not bigger, even though I know it's in Columbia.
Well, I wish I had paid attention on Sunday because I would have taken advantage of the community mortgage lockdown option. because I would have locked this thing down when it opened at 21.
Oh, we could have gotten 4.5 better?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a misstep.
Yeah.
We really should have done that. That's frustrating. Okay. I still feel good about it. I have no problems
too.
with this
I just
whatsoever.
don't see a scenario where South Carolina stays in the game.
No, I just don't think they're going to move the ball at all. Whatsoever.
Alabama is legitimately elite. I know that's not, but I'm saying that they're not. You know, even in the last 10 years, he's had a couple of teams that got the hype just because of the uniform, but you knew they probably weren't good enough. This is not one of those teams. They are special on offense.
When will we really know, though?
LSU.
Okay. Yeah.
It got a chance to be one hell of a game this year. It's kind of funny. This is the year that it isn't going to get all the super hype, and this is the year that maybe it deserves it.
Yeah. Got a funny thing to tell you. I'll do that in 1 second. First, I'll tell you about Visit Oxford. Visit oxfordms.com. Go to the events page there on the website. Bookmark it. Keep it handy because you'll find out everything going on in town every week during football season and just in general. Whether you're from out of town or in Oxford, want to see what is available to you, go to the events page. You'll see things like today, the South Talks lectures continue at the Bernard Observatory. Thacker Mountain Radio Hour is today as well, 6 to 7:30 at Off Square Books. And tomorrow you can take that public double-decker bus tour. Those are at 4 to 5 every single Friday of home games during the football season. Music and Movies in the Park is tomorrow night at Avent Park, 7 to 9. I believe The Blind Side is the movie playing for that one. And then on Saturday, football against Southeast Louisiana, obviously, there at September 14th. So where to stay, where to eat, and what to do. That's Visit oxfordms.com.
The podcast is also brought to you by Jackson Beer Company. They have 10 beer taps for sampling and growler fill. You can mix your own pack of beers from the single shelf with more than 350 beers to choose from. Ask about their kegs to go. Join their text program for special deals. Text JBEER, J-Beer, to 51660. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter at Jackson Beer Co. Follow them on Instagram at Jackson Beer Company. It's 1801 Jackson Avenue West in Oxford, 662-638-3642. Podcast also sponsored by Blue Delta Jeans. Blue Delta this week, they were in Jackson Hole, Wyoming earlier in the week. They'll be in Austin, Houston, Atlanta this week as well. So if you want to book an appointment, get a private fitting, send them an email, info@bluedeltajeans.com. They are now the official jean of the USA Ryder Cup team. We've been telling you for a while they're great for golf tournaments. With this partnership, there couldn't be a more ideal product to bring to your golf club for tournaments and events. And with Gino finally being out in the open, they're wanting to continue pre-selling this fabric. It's soft. It's comfortable. They've got a great group of colors. They're going to begin the sewing on Halloween, so don't miss out on the opportunity. Reserve your spot in the first run of this great new fabric line from Blue Delta Jeans. My picks are up. We've been talking about those. They are sponsored by Southern Craft Stove and Tap, located off Highway 7 and Sisk Avenue. Southern Craft Stove and Tap places an emphasis on food and atmosphere, mixing the quality of fine dining with a come-as-you-are environment. Featuring 30 craft beers and offering a high-quality selection of cuisine and libations, Southern Craft Stove and Tap has you covered for any occasion, so join them for lunch, dinner, Sunday brunch, or have your favorites catered out. Catering orders placed online currently receive $25 off any order totaling $100 or more. So avoid the chaos of parking on the square. Head over and experience carefully crafted dishes with your favorite Southern ingredients. It's Southern Craft Stove and Tap. Again, Highway 7 and Sisk Avenue in Oxford. And we told you about the Mind on My Money podcast. Episode 5 dropped yesterday. We actually kind of took a little break from money and talked about wine, which costs money but is cheaper than therapy. And it is brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust, based in Madison, Mississippi. They have clients in more than 20 states. They have advisors in multiple states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much more. They treat investing like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research. not emotions. So regardless of your level of wealth, Pinnacle Trust will sit down with you, listen to your goals, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan built just for you. It's pintrust.com, P-I-N-N trust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee.
Podcast is brought to you by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Neil mentioned the float down option a minute ago. That's because you can lock in the current rate, but if rates go down before you close, you get that lower rate. Also, with interest rates as low as they've been in about 2 years, great time to talk to Jason about refinancing, about purchasing. You can do that at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com. Now we'll go to Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey, good morning on this Thursday. We got a pretty pathetic slate of college football games. I'm sure you'll find something to gamble on, but it's not exactly a noteworthy week when you look at matchups. But through the first couple weeks, are you still at the same point where, hey, just a couple teams are going to be played in the college football playoff, and there's still absolutely no parity in this game whatsoever?
So coming into the season, I thought actual contenders were Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, and I guess Oklahoma. I felt like if you could have reached for Michigan, but I never really believed in them because I don't believe in Shea Patterson, just like I didn't before he was a freshman at Ole Miss, and people hated me for it. But I win again. The Pac-12 is officially down to 2 teams, it feels like, and then they play in 2 weeks. So that's good for their conference. I've added LSU. I think LSU is legit. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess what we're to 6 teams realistically. I mean, people think it's hot takey, and it's not. Like, I'm just saying, I've watched how this thing works, and I know that there's enough teams in a couple of conferences that can kind of cannibalize themselves.
Yep.
It's not absurd to think that there are 3 one-loss SEC teams.
Yeah, I think there are 4 teams capable of winning the national championship, and 3 of them are in the SEC.
You think not only continue to get in, you think LSU can win it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I definitely do.
Okay.
LSU is better than Oklahoma.
Yeah, LSU can get stops.
Were any of those injuries serious on Saturday, or are they okay?
If Oklahoma would have played Texas on Saturday, they would have lost.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think Texas is better than Oklahoma.
Really?
I do.
I'm not sure if I'm willing to go that far. I think the way Texas played, that's the thing. Texas played well and lost on Saturday.
Yeah, they did. See, I think Oklahoma's deal, and this isn't me ripping Jalen Hurts. He's fine. He's a really good college quarterback. But teams are going to be able to scout him. Good teams, not your average team, not West Virginia or Kansas State or Baylor or any of those teams. But Texas will. And if they make it into a playoff team will. So much of Hurts' damage is either.
It's really annoying because do you realize my phone has been blowing up? See, you were wrong about Jalen Hurts. They beat freaking Houston and then South Dakota State last week?
Yeah, here's what they're doing with them. And listen, they're Lincoln Riley's job is to win. And
yes.
So they're calling plays that enable them to win. But they're doing a lot of stuff where he gets the ball out of his hands very quickly. It's short game. It's not even intermediate game. And then he's a very good athlete. And then they're running it, which
I've always said he's an elite runner at the quarterback position.
He is. He's good enough to be a running back. But when they play a good team, when they play Texas, when they play an LSU, an Alabama, a Clemson, a Georgia, those teams are going to take a lot of that away, and I'm not convinced that he can beat them down the field. And that's how you want to beat Alabama. You have to beat Alabama down the field. That's why LSU is so dangerous for Alabama this year, is that through 2 games against one crappy team and against one very good team, LSU has proven that they can put points up on the board, they can get yardage, they can strike for the big play. They have weapons on the outside, and Burrow is making more money right now than anybody in college football in terms of the draft. The draft people have to be turning their head and going, whoa, hold up. We need to watch this kid. He made some serious throws the other night.
it's the irony of this with LSU. I'm more worried about their defense.
I agree, but I would also point out
it's very talented. It's coming along.
And I would also point out, like, Texas is also incredibly efficient at playing the way they do, which is, you know, when they see you getting tired, they tempo you, and Ellinger's a good enough runner that, you know, if one guy loses responsibility, they were still, when it mattered, like, think about all those goal line possessions. When it mattered, those dudes got massive amounts of penetration, and I still think they're good on defense. The reason why I think Alabama, I think I've moved LSU in front of Georgia, but I still think people are in denial that Alabama is really freaking good. They're still suffocating on defense, and, you know, all the money that Joe Burrows is making, perhaps it's going away from Trevor Lawrence, because now people are actually watching him play an entire game, not just throw to the outside and chunk it up to a bunch of receivers. So welcome to my party. But I still think Alabama's the most complete team.
Who has the more advantage of getting in as a one-loss team? Is it Georgia or LSU, assuming both just lose to Alabama? It's LSU, right? Because it's regular season and earlier?
Probably the way it works.
Yeah, but then you can make the argument Georgia went undefeated in the regular season, and
Won the division, which whatever.
LSU's loss would be on the road in Tuscaloosa.
I mean, and then the championship games in Atlanta. I mean, I think it matters. I honestly think style points would matter. I think it matters how they would lose.
I think it's conceivable, and this is the beginning of this conversation, and if it plays out the way that we're talking about, we'll be having this conversation for weeks on end. I think it's conceivable that the computers put all three of them in the top four.
Well, there's one thing we've seen. There's one consistency that we've seen with the College Football Playoff Committee, and it's that you can say it's overvalued or whatnot. I'm just saying from an observation perspective, they clearly rate playing an SEC schedule extremely highly. It's why usually the SEC has whoever the SEC usually has the highest ranked 1-loss team, the highest ranked 2-loss team, the highest ranked 3-loss team. Like, we see that consistently.
I just look at it and I say, okay, well, Oklahoma and Texas have very few opportunities to win attractive games. That league is so bad. They have very few opportunities to win games that are sexy. Like, if you're a Big 12 fan, you really need Iowa State to beat Iowa this week. You really need Kansas State to beat Mississippi State. You need something that you can start to put on the resume.
Who's the third best team in that league?
Iowa State.
Okay.
I need to see TCU play a little bit. I really like the freshman quarterback at Oklahoma State. Like, I think that kid can actually, like, I think it's the best quarterback that Gundy's ever had.
I'm counting on you being a little bit of a ridiculous person and degenerate here, which usually you can follow through with me. Did you stay up for Cal in Washington to give me any Cal insight?
So I did not, because Aaliyah, we had a personal matter at like midnight, so that was not great. But yeah, we had a personal thing. The problem is it was not me getting yelled at. This is
the start of me losing Jeffrey. Like, we're into another football season. Usually you'd be watching tons of Washington and Cal, and here we go.
I get to explain myself.
Okay.
We had a perfect situation. Your brother comes up often on the weekends, and we watch football together. And Aaliyah came over on Saturday night and decided she was just going to go to bed at my house. All good. So she taps out right after that LSU game. And, I mean, I'm settling in for a huge slate. We got USC, Stanford. More on Stanford in a minute. We've got Cal, Washington, and then our late night snack, of course, was going to be we had to open up Facebook Live to watch Hawaii and Oregon State. Oh. And then her security system called her. So she got like a missed call. She's like, do you know this number? Like, she's like, wake up. She's like half asleep. Do you know this number? And I'm like, I typed in my phone. I was like, I have no idea. And then I got a phone call from her mom, which is pretty sure it's the first time her mom's ever called me. And so she's like, hey, her phone, whatever, her security system called us. Is she okay? I was like, oh yeah, she's passed out at this point. Like she's been asleep for an hour. Turns out like there was an issue over at her house, and then it was just a big ordeal. It was the worst. I was not responsible for any of the issue on Saturday night.
You did not cause the angst.
I could safely say, probably for the first time in this relationship, I am truly innocent of all charges.
But it completely screwed up your late night viewing.
Correct. And then, but Dylan did stay up to watch, and then it ends up like we're over at her house, and so we just end up staying at her house, and she doesn't have. I know it's so absurd. She doesn't have cable. Doesn't have like it's
nothing.
The worst. Nothing, and yeah, it's awful. It's awful. Now, I will say I did recognize that the girl was a keeper when so when I first met her, like originally she had Sling, and then she even got rid of that. And so then when I first met her and she wanted to make her home more welcoming, she called and tried to get DirecTV and do the whole package thing.
Ooh.
I'm even to the point where like installation came out, everything. Like she went the extra mile, but she has too many trees in her backyard, and the guy's like, I don't recommend putting the dish in the front yard. It gets, it invites things that you don't want.
Podcast also brought to you by the Westin Jackson. It's a Marriott property in downtown Jackson. It's home to Soul Spa, the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. Personalized massages, signature facials, soothing body treatments, and more at Soul Spa. And then you can head over to Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro. Creative craft cocktails, curated wine list, great food as well. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. All of that at Estelle at the Westin Jackson. Podcast also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. We've told people for a while what you do is you get in touch with John. You give him some parameters. You give him a budget, and he'll give you options. Some of you have taken advantage of that. People have booked honeymoons, 7-night stays at 5-star resorts for incredible prices. It's people have gone to Hawaii. Multiple people have gone to Hawaii, stayed at different places. People have gone to Rome, Florence, Venice, 30th anniversary trip to Italy, Orange Beach, the Greenbrier, all sorts of stuff. Chatham, Massachusetts, a Holy Land cruise, all sorts of stuff. John absolutely knows travel as well as anyone you'll ever run into. It's absolutely worth it for you if you're trying to create a trip of a lifetime. To get in touch with him and at least let him give you some options. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients save $50 off the first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Go in. Test drive one today. Tell Gene and Sandy that you heard about Grenada Nissan on the podcast. You'll get Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com.
So she's testing your theory. You'd rather have nothing than have a delayed TV experience with Hulu or YouTube Live.
Yes. The only time it perhaps would be acceptable is late night Pac-12 because everyone else has fallen asleep. So I could maybe avoid a little Twitter issues, but
like LSU, Texas, no interest.
Oh God, no. Could you imagine watching that game without Twitter? I mean, could you imagine watching it without Twitter? And then B, could you imagine like every writer we know, every writer we know and like or hate was all there. So that would have been a miserable game experience to watch.
Okay.
It's bad enough with like the 8-second delay. Is Dellinger the fastest fingers in the West?
He is a very quick Twitterer. Yes. He felt at home. He was all in on Saturday.
Yeah.
Is it bad that I don't ever tweet anything about the games that I cover? Am I missing an opportunity, or am I just being lazy?
It does not matter for someone in your position. If you're someone who works for, say, I don't know, let's just take a random publication, Gannett, and you need social impressions and whatnot to impress your bosses, yeah, it's an easy way
also, most of the people that you're talking to, Neil, or I'm talking to, they're either at the game or they're following in real time. It's not like you're, like Dellinger, they're talking to us who aren't LSU or Texas fans. We're at home watching the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't have thousands of Twitter followers for people that aren't Ole Miss fans. Or say,
Yeah, but I would even say, like, for instance, if you're the Clarion Ledger beat writer for Ole Miss, most of your audience is Ole Miss fans. So where I'm saying it certainly matters for someone that writes for a publication that clearly moves you up based on how many page views you get and clicks and whatnot. And it helps in that if you can build a Twitter audience and tweeting about a game, tweeting at the game with information is an easy way to get impressions.
especially like the old AL.com model, where I think they did clean it up a little bit. But
yes.
Just to bring you back, so you don't forget, Stanford, what do you got?
They're dead.
Is it?
They're dead.
Has anyone started? I mean, we talked about this, but really and truly, like, David Shaw doesn't even really get mentioned anymore.
Well, he doesn't get mentioned in the NFL circles, but I wonder if this is going to be a Chris Peterson light situation where I'm curious, he's quietly been one of the most frustrated with the Pac-12 and Larry Scott and the way that they've operated, and the gap is widening between the Pac-12 and the rest of the group of five, the rest of the Power Five. Like, I think the Pac-12 is getting closer to like the American and the Mountain West than it is to the Big Ten or the SEC. And I guess Clemson. I don't really throw the ACC collectively in there. Like, I don't think the ACC is a bad league. I don't think there's another good team in that league, but I don't know if there's like pure crap in that league anymore. But it wouldn't shock me if this is the year that David Shaw might, God forbid, leave his alma mater. How about this? So I don't know how I got on this, looking this up. The SEC network is the most subscribed to of the college sports networks.
Yep.
It has roughly 70 million subscribers. The Big Ten networks is second at roughly, I think, 61 million. The Pac-12 network, even though it is available in 90 million homes in America, they have 12 million subscribers.
That's it?
12 million. You're 5 times smaller than number 2. And, Larry Scott's got to have an office in downtown San Francisco that he leases.
So what are their conference checks every year? I mean, this is more of a rhetorical question. We'll look it up, but
I mean, last year's was, let's see. I mean, remember was it the Wall Street? There was a relatively sizable outlet that did the whole story. I mean, they even got Leach on the record. Like, it is, let's see, revenue distribution for 2018. They dished out $29 million. What did the SEC dish out last year? 60?
2 or 3 years ago, it was like high 40s, so I don't know what it was last year.
I swear I thought it was higher.
A few years ago, it was 40-something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just curious. we don't have it long enough to go through picks, but is there any a game or two that you really like this week? I know there's a lot of FCS, so your options are limited as far as pure lines.
You're right. It was 43 million. So what is that? 16 million?
Yeah.
A difference in 16 million.
14, yeah.
Is there anything I really like? If you close your eyes, that Alabama South Carolina game, that game reeks to me of Alabama versus Vanderbilt in 2017. One of CBS's first games of the year, excited fan base, fired up to play, get a chance on a big stage, and Alabama's just going to absolutely murder them.
Kid making his first Power 5 start.
Go get him, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wes is. Oh.
And by the way, I root for that kid.
Oh,
like
no
I
doubt.
do.
Yeah.
No, I think we all do. Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine what that family's been through. Like, I sometimes roll my eyes at some of the human interest stories that we'll see the SEC shove down. I'm sorry, present to us. And when they showed his dad the other day, like they showed his dad like right after the game, kind of like pumping his fist, like that, man, that's tough. Like, because it's one thing to be like a little brother playing for your older brother and whatnot, and like I can understand that, but like you could just kind of see so many emotions that were like pouring out, and I can't imagine what that family's been through, and if they got 3.5 hours of escape last Saturday.
Oh, absolutely. If there was a moment of joy, good for them.
Yeah. Let's see. Dan in a revenge game feels like
how much is Kentucky damaged with having to go to the kid instead of Terry Wilson?
Terry Wilson. Let's get it straight. Terry Wilson's not a good quarterback, but he is good at what they want him to do. Like he is not a particularly accurate thrower. He's not the greatest runner, but like he's like a B- at everything, and he's really annoying because he extends enough plays for them that they get to like they're pretty good at ball control. Like they're like a college poor man's version of what the Ravens tried to do last year, which is hold the ball on offense, and then they have a good defense, and they let their defense, like, get after you. But, like, could you tell me that this kid that comes in might be a better thrower? Like, sure, but, like, I don't think Mark Stoops was in the business. Like, I think there are, looking at you, Chad, I do think there are some coaches that don't play the best kid at quarterback. But I find it hard to believe that Kentucky was a team that wasn't playing their best kid.
And, I mean, the Smith kid at least has some D1 experience. He was at Troy. I mean, it might not be a complete fall off, but, I mean, there's no doubt it's a fall off. So we'll see.
Yeah. And that's a revenge game for Dan. And, like, I know Felipe Franks sucks, and I know he'll find coverage and throw into it with conviction, but, like, that kid going up against Florida's front, and Dan's going to try to cover. Like, I know you shouldn't be taking road favorites like this, particularly like early in the season, but I'll take my chances.
Yeah, fair enough.
You have 3 more minutes because I want to touch on one thing that
go ahead.
Hit with on the mailbag a lot this week, and at first I scoffed at it, and then I went, I don't know. This Tennessee situation.
Mm-hmm.
They're 0-2.
Yep.
They're going to beat Chattanooga. They might not win another one after that for a while.
Did I tell you what a friend of the program, Eric Edholm, said yesterday? I
read your comment that they have a quarterback that can make this thing interesting.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be fun? I mean, that'd be terrible. I mean, SEC.
It would be awful. I'd hate to see that happen to Tennessee.
Especially
if there a scenario where Pruitt
that'd be terrible on Monday? God, that would be
that'd be terrible for talk.
Who would ever root for that?
Tennessee. What is there a scenario where Pruitt doesn't make it? And then the other question that I get a lot, and frankly, it's fair. Chad Morris opened the season with the wrong quarterback.
Yep.
Which is all coaching. Sometimes it's not coaching. That's coaching.
That's coaching. That is a decision he made that limited his team's ability to win.
They're in a really weird spot Saturday against Colorado State because one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to win the game because they get good quarterback play, which will beg the obvious question, or they're going to lose the game, which will, of course, beg the obvious question. Is there a scenario where both of those guys aren't in their spots next season? Normally everybody gets 3 years.
Right. This is the issue with Pruitt. They're 0-2, and they haven't played that 4-game stretch coming up of Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and State. The other issue at Tennessee is the guy that hired him is Philip Fulmer. And it's unclear to me, based on conversations that I've had, if Phil Fulmer thinks that his job is tied to Jeremy Pruitt. I just find it, I know how that fan base is, and I know that school kind of lives in chaos, I don't feel like they get their due for living in chaos like the way that they do. I find it really hard to believe that they're going to be 1-6, having probably at the minimum 3 blowout losses out of 4. And if Tommy Stevens plays, State will beat them consistently, or will beat them convincingly. Like when we were talking about David Shaw, if I'm Tennessee, and I said this on Monday, I'm quietly getting the dump truck ready, and I'm just going to go, hey, David, you believe in all the BS that we spill out. We're Michigan. We're toothless Michigan. So we all kind of fit together. Stanford, Michigan, Tennessee. Like, we all like to think that our record's a lot better than it is. This is a good spot for you.
That's interesting. If you're Arkansas and it goes bad, is there somebody out there who could make that work?
Did you see who was speaking in Fayetteville?
Well, I saw Petrino spoke in Little Rock.
Yep.
You think they go back to Bobby Petrino?
I didn't think Louisville would.
He did go do the tearful apology thing.
He came back and he just wanted to tell everyone there that he was sorry.
That they were great. They were the best fans. He loved them.
Unclear if he told his wife he was sorry.
Well, you're paving the road here.
Wow.
I just don't know that Bobby Petrino does. Would that even work now? I mean, could he recruit in this league?
He's never been a great they had good players, don't get me wrong, but I don't really feel like he recruited any better than Chad did last year, given the circumstances. He's just an elite coach.
Yeah, Morris is an okay recruiter. Their class was okay. Their class they're putting together this year's okay.
The problem is it was like ranked 24th in the country in the SEC. That gets you very little.
Well, that's the problem Tennessee has. Tennessee's sitting here. You look at the composite rankings, they're at 22. They're behind Ole Miss. They're 10th in the league. It's not like Jeremy. Like, at least when you get a Saban guy, the idea was we're going to at least get elite talent. They're not even recruiting. Like, the argument for keeping Pruitt, in my opinion, is the idea would be is that he's going to elevate your talent, and even if you know he's not the guy, you had a bunch of crap after Butch Jones. You had a roster with a lot of holes. You had a lot of attrition. Like, the idea is you keep Pruitt long enough to stabilize the roster, but he's not even really doing that.
This early signing period changes the strategy on firing a coach, man. You have to know that you're going to be able to hang on to enough of what's committed, and then you have to absolutely know you're getting your guy and getting him in time to salvage the class.
If I get the right guy, I don't care about the class.
Well, that's true, but you got to know you're getting that guy.
Like,
the deal's got to be done. Like you said, you got to do all the back channel stuff in your hypothetical.
it has to be like
Shaw.
Urban
You
Meyer
got to
taking
know
the
David Shaw saying yes.
It has to be like Urban Meyer with the Florida job, where
Yes.
it's November, you've already got ink on paper, and it was able to keep quiet for 2.5 weeks or so.
Yeah, it's like Auburn hiring Tommy Tuberville. They knew that deal was done in September.
Right. So it has to be that type of situation where it's done. Or honestly, Harbaugh in Michigan, like that deal was done. I mean, Jessica Poole, who used to work at Ole Miss, her family still lives in Ann Arbor, and they were friends with Jim's wife, and Jessica knew that, like, she's like, this is done. Like, I remember in October, she goes, he's coming. And I go, how do you know? She goes, because his wife called my parents and asked about where they should live. It has to be that type of thing.
Yeah. Appreciate it, bud.
All right, guys.
Our thanks to Jeffrey Wright for his time today on the podcast. The podcast brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX legacy realty agent. He's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. He's a big part of Savannah Square. It's a new 9-acre development, 0.7 of a mile from the Oxford downtown square. You should check it out. It's located east of North Lamar, just a short stroll from the Midtown Shopping Center. If you're coming up this weekend for some football, get in touch with Harry. He'll be out at Savannah Square. He can show you. There are 4 new properties in various stages of completion. You can check those out. You can also look at the model home at 215 William Street. All these homes, they have wonderful layouts, impeccable finishes. You can see them. You can see where things are going. Some of these homes are 6 weeks away from being ready. So if you're interested, get in touch with Harry on Friday afternoon. Make that a part of your day. You won't regret it. It's SavannahSquareOxford.com or 662-801-5621. Podcast also brought to you by Oxford University Bank. OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. When you call OUB, you speak directly with a live person. No 10 buttons to push, no 5-minute wait. OUB is also home to a commercial checking account now paying 1% interest as long as you keep $10,000 in the account. It comes with fully interactive online banking. To learn more, go to liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. Celebrate 125 seasons of Ole Miss football with this exclusive offer. Pick one conference game and one non-conference game. Includes parking for just $125. Fresh off a victory over the Arkansas Razorbacks, join the Rebel football team back in the vault on Saturday versus Southeastern Louisiana. Tickets still remain and can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. The 2019 Ole Miss Hoops season just around the corner. Don't miss any of the action of Coach Yo's women's basketball team and Coach Kermit Davis's men's team this season in the pavilion. For tickets, visit OleMissTix.com and join the Ole Miss soccer team on Sunday, September the 15th at 1 p.m. as they take on South Alabama. Admission is free, so bring the family out and enjoy. And also our condolences to Ole Miss soccer coach Matt Mott on the loss of his father this week. Matt, if in the event that you hear this, you're certainly in our thoughts. And finally, we're brought to you by 7 South Tailgating, owned and operated by husband and wife duo Kyle and Jordan Thornton. 7 South has become the greatest tailgating service provider at Ole Miss. The team at 7 South are Rebels through and through. They take pride in the Grove and the impact their service has on protecting, preserving, and enriching the Ole Miss game day tailgating tradition. Give them a call, 662-321-1682, or visit 7southtailgating.com.
So you'll find this funny. I mean, obviously, this is not classified material. I didn't ask for it. Something I'm breaking any confidences here. South Carolina made me think of this. So last night, typically, I keep everything on silent. My phone's on silent when I go to bed. Like, I never have like text tones or anything. But I was potentially waiting on something that I wanted to see if it came in last night, and I had turned text tones on. So this morning, wake up pretty early, but I've been trying to stay up later, been trying to sleep later, whatever. So 6 o'clock this morning. Ding. Hit it. I'm like, okay, it's text, whatever. A little early, but not that out of the norm. Not a text. Roll over, get my phone. It's a DM. Twitter DM. It is 3 consecutive DMs, all at the same time at 6:03 a.m.
Okay.
2 infographics, and then a message in the middle of the infographics. Okay. Tar Heels trying to get to 3-0 Friday night! ! Phil Longo DMing me North Carolina infographics at 6:03 a.m. this morning. You got an explanation? Huh?
Does he?
I mean, I'm asking. What?
Okay. These people make a lot of money. They're not often. Their elevators don't go all the way to the top a lot of times.
I just don't. I mean,
is that tone deaf, or is that meatheadedness, or is that him trying to be funny, or him? I don't get it.
Yeah, why me?
Does he know that you don't cover him anymore?
Well, I would assume. I mean, I scroll back through. I mean, we've had conversations on Twitter.
See, he and I never had a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I've got
one of those. He was one of those guys. I'm being honest here. They're all told right away, "Hey, be careful with this McCready guy, boy. He's out to get us. He's bad news. He's out to get you. He's searching." And Longo was one of those guys that believed it. He was always arm's length with me, and I just finally said, "Ah, to hell with it."
Yeah, the last message I sent him was December the 6th. Probably right before he left. And then,
what did it say? What'd you tell him December the 6th?
Something, nothing. Yeah, not doing that. Yeah, and then I missed this one. Apparently, he sent me a happy 4th of July.
Oh.
With a only 58 days till kickoff message.
Yeah.
And then 6:03 this morning.
Because you were thinking on the 4th of July, I wonder how many days till North Carolina kicks off.
Really excited about the Gamecocks and the Tar Heels, so, yeah. I looked at it for probably a minute going, huh? I mean, okay, congratulations, great, but... Yeah, the first infographic says this atmosphere was the best I've ever seen here, and it was a Mac Brown quote. And then Carolina's 15 plays of 20-plus yards lead the ACC and is 12th in the entire NCAA. Also, there's a grammatical error because 15 plays should not be leads. It should be lead.
The grammatical error that I notice more today than ever before is people's inability to sort out lose, lost, and loss.
I don't get that one as much as you do.
That one happens all the time.
And I overlook basically everything now. The only thing that still really bugs me, and we're getting fairly close to the holiday season, is the Christmas cards that have the apostrophes in them.
Yeah.
From the Parhams, M apostrophe
Merry Christmas
S.
from the Thompsons.
Yeah.
And they'll put Thompson apostrophe S.
Something like Thompson's what? Their
and
dog
I
sent the card?
Send it back saying, Merry Christmas from your what?
Yeah. Okay.
Drives me insane.
All right.
Hey.
Southeastern Louisiana, Ole Miss, 3 p.m. Stay healthy, move on, get ready for Cal next week. All good. Whatever.
Upset alert. I'm kidding. It's not an upset alert.
Colorado State plus 10 at Arkansas, 3 p.m. SEC Network. Feels like a pretty good must-win there for Chad Morris and his boys.
It is a must-win. If they win big, it begs the question. He's in a weird spot.
Why were you playing Ben Hicks?
I was asking that in the second half on Saturday. I was like, this kid's clearly better than that kid. And if I can see it in one exposure, how the hell did you miss this for a month?
I looked up nothing about Colorado State whatsoever. I just know I'm not laying 10 points with Arkansas no matter who they're playing. Period. Don't care.
Yeah.
That's it.
I get it.
Jeffrey took the Hogs. Zach took the Rams. Kent State plus 35 at number 8. Auburn. Woody Barrett making a homecoming return to the Plains on Saturday. And yeah, I don't know.
Is Woody Barrett still the quarterback there?
He is. I just said he's making a homecoming return to the Plains.
Oh, okay. Good for him.
I took Auburn to cover because Kent State's really bad.
Yeah, I did too. I laid him.
Whatever. I think everybody laid them. We mentioned it with Jeffrey. I like Florida to cover the 8.5 at Kentucky, 6 p.m. on ESPN on Saturday. Feel pretty good about that, actually.
Yep.
Everyone taking the Gators to cover that one. Texas A&M plays Lamar. Okay, sure, whatever. LSU plays Northwestern State, so Ed Orgeron getting his alma mater on Saturday.
I've seen Northwestern State play a lot of games in my life. Usually in Shreveport at the State Fair game. They used to play Louisiana Tech in the State Fair game every year.
And then Missouri plays SEMO at 6:30 on the SEC Network.
Yep.
Grant Hillsdale going to play Saturday, in your opinion?
That's my guess. Did y'all ask Matt?
Nope. Because we wouldn't get an answer to that because it's going to play corral and not going to predict the game getting out of hand.
Right. It's got to win the game, boys.
Yes.
It's true.
Very Jason Simpson of everyone.
Did you see where his son's a big-time prospect?
Oh, Simpsons?
Yeah.
Oh.
Quarterback.
Where's he going to go to school?
I don't know. Simpson went to State.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh. Well,
I'm like a freaking wealth of knowledge today, man.
Well, he came to win the game.
Like a fountain.
Okay. Whatever. I don't know.
It's a bad week of football games.
It's awful. I said that with Jeffrey. It's terrible.
Do we get better games anytime soon?
Yeah, next week's even better. Oh, real quick, we'll close here. MLB doing MLB things yesterday. Did you see this?
No, I didn't. I've tried to tune out MLB. I'm trying not to get
Pete
angry.
Alonso, the very well-swinging rookie for the New York Mets.
Yeah.
He was trying to mimic what the New York teams did following 9/11. He got first responder hats for everyone to wear during the games, and MLB said no, it was against their uniform code to wear those hats.
Oh, the love of all things.
After the terrorist attacks on September 11th, I'm reading from SNY.TV, the Mets, in defiance of MLB, played all the remaining games wearing hats representing all of the different city agencies that were first responders that day. The Mets have been told no by MLB in the years since about wearing the hats during games of September 11th, including in 2011 when they wanted to wear the hats on the 10th anniversary of the attacks. Quote, "We're just trying to keep it consistent," MLB Executive Vice President of Baseball Operations Joe Torre told the Associated Press. "Certainly it's not a lack of respect. It's just something we feel is the right thing to do." 8 years later, MLB is still refusing to let the Mets wear the hats in-game. While the Mets wore first responder hats before the game on Wednesday night, they were required to switch to the regular caps for the game itself. Pete Alonso had wanted the team...
What would happen?
Do what?
But what would have happened? You forfeit the game, you go to prison, a fine? I mean, what happens if you just don't... If you tell Major League Baseball, hey, listen, man, this is bigger than this. Screw you.
I don't know.
Do you go to jail? I mean, what happens?
I don't know. Alonso's quote was originally, I wanted to do some hats. I wanted to do custom hats, whatever group of first responders, if someone wanted to do FDNY, Port Authority, or had the choice. Unfortunately, there's a lot of red tape with MLB, and they kind of shot that idea down. It's kind of sad guys weren't allowed to, since that day, the first game back. They kind of shut it down every year since. I think that's very unfortunate.
So Carson came home yesterday, and his social studies teacher, Ms. Hoffman, they talked about 9/11. Dedicated the day to 9/11. And I was excited. I was glad. I sent her a thank you note, and he got in the car, and he wanted to talk about it. And Carson's a big baseball fan, really loves baseball. And so I found a few things that I wanted him to see now that he had some context. Carson's 12, for the people who are new to the podcast. I talk about my kids. Some people tell me I talk about my kids too much. I'm sorry. They're really all that I ever really think about, so I'm talking about them. So he got in the car, and he was like, tell me about 9/11. And so we talked about 9/11, and I told him about how Major League Baseball took almost 10 days off. And I said there was a really cool baseball moment in New York when they first came back. If you're a Braves fan, it wasn't quite as cool, although I think even Braves fans thought it was cool because 18 years later, you don't care who won a game. You do care about the way people healed from 9/11. The Mets and the Braves, at that time, really heated rivals, played each other at Old Shea Stadium. And the Braves had a 2-1 lead. The Mets, all wearing the hats that you just referenced, NYPD, NY Fire Department, stuff like that. And Mike Piazza hit a 2-run home run to give the Mets a 3-2 lead. And a lot of the family members of people who had died 9/11 were there. It was a really incredible moment where sports is bigger than sports, where sports unifies, where sports heals, where sports provides an escape from the horror of reality. And Mike Piazza talked about how people would come up to him and tell him he was a hero, and he struggled with that. He's like, I didn't do anything. I hit a baseball. But that hitting of that baseball was a moment. So I showed Carson that. I showed him the Sammy Sosa. He's a big Cubs fan. Showed him the Sammy Sosa home run where he grabs the flag and carries it around. And Tom Brenneman, who's normally kind of a dork, had a really good call that day. And then I showed him President Bush throwing out the first pitch at the World Series. I found a long version of it about just the healing power of sports and stuff. And Derek Jeter telling the president, hey, you got to throw from the mound and you got to throw a strike. And Bush did. And just, it was cool. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but it was cool. I was glad it got taught. So Major League Baseball is wrong here. They're wrong here. The Mets and the Yankees on the 11th of September should absolutely be allowed to play the game with NYPD or NY Fire Department. There was a stat yesterday about how many we talk about, as we should, and we honor, as we should, the lives of the people who died on that day. A lot of those first responders have died from complications from what happened to them that day over the subsequent 18 years. And if wearing caps honors those people for just one day, we should absolutely wear the caps.
Yeah, Todd Zeal, who was on that Mets team, he gives a quote last night, says, I can completely relate. I was part of that 9/11 experience in that Mets team in 2001. We wore the hats and remembrance of the victims at the time. We were told by the league office that we were not allowed to do it, and we just did it anyway. Not trying to be martyrs, but at the same time trying to show support just the way Pete described it for the men and women that had sacrificed themselves for this community called New York that was trying to heal. So basically they said screw it and just put them on anyway.
Good for them. Go Mets.
Yeah.
Do it.
And last night you could have just said screw it.
Screw it. I mean, what are they going to do? What's the punishment?
Yeah, good luck taking that PR case on today. I mean,
MLB
baseball's problem is so rigid. Everything's just, oh my God.
Yeah, it's old men running an old man game right straight into the ground. And I love it. I love baseball. But good God, people. It's just a game. If it honors something, it's insane.
Yeah.
They let them do those horrible players' uniforms, the all white and all black that looked like it was awful. And you won't let Noah Syndergaard wear a NYPD cap?
Yeah. So.
Tone deaf.
All right. Picks up at rebelgrove.com if you want to read the written version. Lots of other podcasts from the network and more coming throughout the week. We'll be back tomorrow. Probably your questions. We'll see what we get to. But nonetheless, listen to all of our shows, and we'll talk to you then.